Gabby does it now.
Mm-hmm.
Gabby, you met out at the front desk with your checkerboard shirt sweater. So, today we're just gonna kind of walk through registration and how it works and where you have to do what you have to do. Most generally, it's very, very intuitive, but sometimes I get confused. So Heather has always been there to walk me through everything. So anyway, so this is what Heather's got up here is the teacher registration page. So in order for your students to participate in SASEF, you have to register first. Okay. So
this is the UT website that's got all the links and the deadlines and everything that you will need. And should take you right to the registration. Are any of you already registered as a teacher through the site? Okay. Would you like me to go through that teacher registration process? Pretty straightforward.
sure.
So you can pick from one of the schools that are listed, and it will give you the option at the bottom if your school is not currently listed. Please let me know if you have any questions, because I'll just zip through this. It does open it up for a community organization. If you have a Girl Scout troop, Boy Scout troop, a church group, anything. Yeah. And then it definitely gives you the option for the public, private, or homeschool. Don't judge my spelling. It is early.
On a Saturday. Wasn't for spell check, we all. What do we do without word? I started back when we had to put all the prompts in, you know, you had to do it. See, I just wrote that, yeah.
When I got to work on an IDF selector, I was in the glory. That was 5 10.
Our journalism class got that, and I was in, so it's like we fought over that.
Yeah, because there were only like 3 in the whole school.
Okay, so if your school has a science fair, great, just let us know. If it doesn't, that's fine as well. Last time I know, SASEF is still a completely open fair, so anybody in our 23 counties that we serve, and that map is definitely on the website. It is open for 6th grade through 12th grade.
But if your school does have a science fair, then we will take your winners. Because we don't, because if you have told them, us that they're not, the project isn't good enough, and say something. So, but not very many schools have their own science fair. Yeah, quickly Heather has filled this out. It's very easy to do, very intuitive.
For the how many years you participated in our fair, do you want how many years students from our school participated in your fair, or the teacher that personally has participated in your fair?
I'd say the school. Yeah.
And do they have to be continuous?
No. We have people, it depends on the teacher. We understand that. It all depends on the teacher and the principal of the school. So
it's telling me I did it wrong because I already registered myself under that name prior. I forgot what name I had used. So let's see if I can just back it up.
Is it UTK open internet?
Yes, use.
I'm not one, but it's not one.
Yeah, it's open, it's not guest, is it?
No, it's UT Open is our guest network.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just keeps telling me, no, it's no internet.
See?
Yeah, sure.
UT open.
Oh, and you have to open the browser, to ask you to put in some information like your cell phone, I think.
Oh, I didn't ask for that.
Well, let me start over again.
No,
It says you connect. It does, but then it says the internet is open. It's not, the internet's not allowed.
Yeah.
So other than myself already having registered myself as a fake school prior, we would just would have hit the submit button. It would have popped up. You would be added to the list for a student to select you.
Yeah, and that's what it did.
Because
Back to-
the teacher has to register first. Once the teacher is registered, the student can start a project account completely on their own. I know some teachers in the past have done it as kind of a classroom time project just to at least get the account started. Obviously, they recommend middle schoolers to use their parents' email and that kind of thing, and that's completely okay. High schoolers, they should be sending it to their own email. And then the ever lovely, some school schools block outside emails, so they may want to use a personal one.
Okay. For yours.
Yes, sir.
Open up a browser if it's connected, even though it says there's no internet.
Yes,
Open up a browser and try to go to google.com. And what it should do is it should forward you the support registration page automatically.
it's just sending. It just keeps giving me site can't be reached. It doesn't like me.
I'm sorry.
There is one other option if it can't take that.
What's the worst I can do it on my phone?
I've got her computer.
Okay. So as a student, they would go in and then select their school.
And the only teachers that'll be listed are the ones that register, correct?
Correct. The teacher has to register first, but it takes a couple minutes and you're done and in, and then the student can select you.
You get me in?
Yeah.
Thank you, dear.
Got to support that UTK.edu.
Well, it's very interesting. Then it popped you out.
Oh, no. Oh, that means it registered the site. It's on the open, so it should, let's just double check that it's connected now.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pick a junior student. And then this is the series of categories. These categories are also back on the original. Get rid of this little toolbar. Let me show you where to find these so you can let your students know they can pre-look.
And if you have questions about which category you really fit in, just send an email to Brett. UTK.edu and we'll work with you to figure out the category.
There's a lot of information in our FAQs. If you think something should be there that isn't, please let us know and we'll add it. Divisions and categories. So there are two divisions, middle school and high school. 6th grade is middle school through 8th, and 9th grade through 12th grade is high school. And I know there's a question every once in a while, if your middle school has a 5th grade, are they eligible? And it is no.
It is not. Yeah, we've had 5th graders before. It's not a good. It's not. If it's a case,
sixth school, a sixth grader can, even though
Yes.
it's all in elementary school.
As long as they're in sixth grade, they're in the middle school.
So in the FAQs, you can have your students pre-look at this. All the categories are listed. And there was some adjustments this year. Computer science changed from plain computer science to we added technology and the arts. Yes, and then last year, a new addition is robotics and intelligent machines. Do you have any questions in regards to categories or? Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to randomly pick animal sciences. And this is actually a project one of my daughters did in their middle school years. Okay, so if a student is going to bring something like it maybe a robotic arm or something that needs power, this is where they tell us that they need power because we will place them physically in a room near an outlet. That's really all that comes down to, is we want to meet their needs on the day of the fair. Yes.
Really briefly, if we see this title, we're gonna look at it. Do you have your animal science forms? If it is a middle school student and it is their own dog, we just let it go. But if they're going out and getting dogs from the community or going to an animal shelter, they have to get a sign off by a veterinarian on the animal science.
Again, they need a floor standing easel, or have they geared it to a regular trifold board, for a tabletop? 90% of the students
Worry about it.
just do a tabletop.
It's almost got it.
Thank you, though.
We've got sauce problems.
I don't wanna hold you up from.
It's a challenge now, right? Sometimes the students that have that need electrical will also require a floor standing easel. We will have both on site, but most students use a tabletop easel and be placed at a table.
Now, when it says I plan to pay the additional $10 fee
Mhm.
to have the university print, when you folks print, are my students still responsible for gluing it onto or putting it on a board, or do you actually print the board itself?
They will design, this is a kind of an example. There is a template on the website and they will design their poster board right on that template. And then, so it is one print and
And the template is designed to fit onto that trifold board.
Okay.
And what we do is we bring binder clips. So we clip it to the board, and therefore there's no pinholes, there's no tape or anything else, and they can just roll it up and take it home.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it'll
do we
be-
still have to provide the board.
nope, we have boards and clips on site.
Okay.
Sorry, Ken.
So, I'm sorry, I don't.
That's okay.
I'm just trying to figure out what I need to have.
Right, no, that's all. If you check this box, all of that will be provided. If you don't check that box, then you're gonna be responsible for it on your end.
Mhm.
Thank you.
We do try to have some extras. Well, every table will have a tabletop easel on it. We do try to have extra trifold boards and binder clips on site just in case somebody needs one. But most middle schoolers are still doing their boards right on their trifolds.
Yes.
But some high schoolers, especially if they're presenting their posters at multiple competitions, they will not. We'll try to have some extras.
Okay. Thank you.
How many of you guys are here for a middle school or junior competition? In your high school then?
Me, yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We're
Okay.
a little bit more easy on the middle.
Yes.
The high school kids, basically, we have to assume that they're gonna win the regional fair. And we have to hold them to all the criteria for the international fair, and I didn't say that.
So in the last few, after COVID, we have not had anybody present virtually. It is still an option. We do have a couple judges that are happy to do that. It is a little bit of a scheduling situation, but if it's a must, it's a must. But they really, as Kim can attest to this, benefit so much more for coming in person, having the experience of setting it up, go through the process, meeting with the judges. It is, and it's a full day. We try to have some activities for them on campus while they're here too.
Last year, year before, whose research was on sutures and changing colors if they became infected. That fellow.
That's seems very
It was in a
exciting.
different district. They
Yeah.
went to the international and won it.
Periodically,
As a high schooler.
in the senior division, I have to have experts from another area of the university come and make sure that it is as good as we think it is.
I think part of it may be the school's
I
restriction,
think the school may.
because it's a school issue, so.
Okay.
But thank you so much for trying.
Now, in regards to this poster,
It's right. Takes it.
if your school, and there are several, that pay for their students' entry fees and they pay for a poster, make sure your students are aware of that. So when they do register, that they know a poster will be printed and they need to just check that we'll pay the additional $10 fee, even though that they won't be paying it. But it signals to the site that we need to print them a poster.
We will get a printout, everything, every project that said that, then we will print those posters. But we will go back and look to see, to match them. So make sure they do check that box. Awesome.
So in years past, I used my stepson's cat's name and now I have a grandson. So that's his first name and my last name. So he's my little example and he's adorable.
And hopefully we'll have him in the science fair at some point.
Hopefully. My plan is to keep him around here. All right. So these are,
The ethnicity question is optional, but we would like to have that information because ISEF asked us for that information.
I don't know. We'll give him his mother's birth year. Hopefully it'll catch that child is too old and we'll kick it back, but I don't think so. It's much more on the grade range and it will give an error if there's an issue like that. Okay, parent.
Thank you.
Motion's doing that. You guys have any questions about what's going on?
My students want to know, from the middle school section, if they do particularly well, do they go to the, it's not Broadcom. What is?
It's not Broadcom Masters, it is.
Thermo Fisher.
Thermo Fisher.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
so
what?
as.
He's in charge of this.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's
as-
later, even if you
No, like-
maybe my question.
Yeah, because it hasn't been, we probably might talk about it, so I do want to answer it now. So Thermo Fisher is similar to how Broadcom ran, that we will, if you're a Thermo Fisher winner, you're our top 10%. There's a little bit of leeway on that, but if you're in the top ones that you get selected, that you get. What will end up happening is we will go after the fair, you will qualify for that, we will upload your contact information list of the students. And they should get an email later from Thermo Fisher saying, hey, we'd like to see this, upload these documents. And then they evaluate, and if they get selected, then they go off. So we can nominate them, and then Thermo Fisher decides which ones go out.
But it's the same process as Broadcom.
It's more or less the same with Broadcom.
But most of our middle school students don't do it, so if you do have learners, please encourage them to do it.
I had one of those years ago.
Now,
It was COVID.
Oh my gosh, sorry, guys.
One student recently that was in middle school that did,
yeah,
I think the last year of broad development, the first year of Fisher. And they,
that goes very high.
yeah, one of the very high. So she ended up winning some.
She ended up going pretty far. I don't think she won
It was
it.
the whole thing, she went pretty far up.
Yeah.
So if your middle school student is interested, please encourage them to sign up for this. If they get selected, it's a really cool thing.
Okay, finally, there we go. Now we're gonna just turn around and log in. Okay. So it does give the students the deadlines right there at the top. Yep. And do you want to talk about what projects need to be pre-approved?
Let's go to the form that has the research plan on it. I think it's 1A. Talk
Yes.
about that one first.
I'll show you the blank form. How do I get rid of this ribbon at the top from Zoom? Anybody know?
Down spout there, no.
I believe we controls.
What? Ah. Thank you, Dr. Stewart. I appreciate that. Okay.
So this form, we routinely get filled out incorrectly, not because of any of the information that's in it. You go down. Complete a research plan summary following the research plan. So this is the research plan is a separate page, and it's where your students, before their project is started, and they already be too late, then we get that. But they're supposed to write up basically a plan, a little literature search, objectives, hypothesis, and what they're going to do. And then afterwards, they're supposed to attach that and attach the summary, what happened. So that's what this form is. Like I said, probably about half of our projects don't actually include that. We have to say, where's your research plan? So you'll get an email from Gabby saying, hey, we need a research plan from you. So, and then the summary for middle school is going to be pretty much the same as your answer.
So register me, register school, have students come in and register, fill this out first, send it to get approved before we dive into the process.
I won't go over which projects have to be pre-approved.
Oh, okay.
Not everything has to be
Okay.
pre-approved.
To make sure I'm understanding.
Okay.
I'm a newbie.
All right, want to go on down?
Does not everyone turn in this form?
Yes, everyone turns in this.
in this one, right?
That's just
Mhm.
building, right? So we do our own science fair. So I only, like last year I messed up, because with the pre-approval deadline, because our science fair is after the pre-approval deadline, so our basically only sit over there, so I could not sit in for 2 winners because they actually required that.
Do you have an SRC IRB?
No.
Then you need to send
Send
it.
it to us. Yeah, and so those 2 students, like, so now this year, my students that I see need pre-approval, I've had them already started the process. So is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if they are doing, how many times do you throw a dice and you get a certain event, that's not gonna require pre-approval. If they do with anything with a dog, cat, any animal with a backbone, they can still use insects. Or any human subjects, and that includes the favorite middle school project, who does what better than the boys or girls, and that's, what did everybody eat for breakfast? Those things require not only student pre-approval and approval for the student, consent for the student, it also requires a parental assent. So you can put it on the same form, that's fine. But anyway, here's the categories of things that need to be in here. If you're in the high school division, these things need to be in your pre-plan. Middle school, I said we're a little, just tell them their objectives, their hypothesis, and their plan.
I have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Is there a specific criteria for your school that have an SRC committee? Because my science fair judges in the past have been like Joe Robertson, who works at UT, or district science representative. Like, is that qualify enough?
This SRC is made of a certain type of people.
Okay.
So you have to have an educator.
Right.
You have to have someone in biomedical sciences.
Well, now,
Biomedical is veterinary. A community member.
Hang on, maybe.
Now that's the other
The
IRB.
other one.
That's the other IRB.
The big thing is, that you have a medical person or, a biomedical person and a, educator.
Okay. And,
Would they have to be different?
yes, you have to have, and it is a committee, it is. So I could be, I'm a human subjects person, even though I'm a plant pathology, and I'm plants, I'm trained in the university in human subjects. So I can do human subjects, biomedical, I have a retired RN nurse anesthetist who is on, who reviews everything the RNs need to look at. And then, Jan is on the committee as the educator. And all the other people, we just build this out. Anyway, I can get that information.
And we all have to have it.
You do not have to have one. If you do have one, you don't have to submit for pre-approval to me. You submit it to that.
Gotcha. The reason I ask is that would be wonderful if we could do that, because our science fair is.
Okay.
I'll just talk to you later.
Okay.
A lot of times you can get your school nurse stuff, about if they are.
Yeah. So could it be like 2 teachers, because I have that.
Now, assistant to see that I should start doing. So, myself, like if you wanted to create our own.
Yes, and we'll pull that up after we go through these forms, we'll pull that up to show you who has to be on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that makes my job a lot easier. But it also makes it a little risky, because if you approve it and I get it and I say, no, that doesn't work, so. If you have any questions at all, make sure that you run it through.
Okay.
And that you get me through prep, just like
I was
everybody
about to say, our committee can run it for you without.
And usually, if you've got kids that want to do something with their animals, usually it's the local veterinarian that's really willing. They're usually pretty good about that.
Veterinarians are more willing than that anybody else. Something's interesting.
Okay, so here are the big categories. These absolutely have to have pre-approval from either us acting as your SRC or the, your own SRC. They have to, we have to look at things like the protection of privacy and informed consent. Informed consent for a minor cannot grant informed consent. So if you're, it just seems like a horrible thing to ask them to do. But if your students want to interview each other about their favorite color or something like that, that requires that you send a form home. The student signs up that they assent to it, and then the parent will consent to it. So, but it takes a form. But the good news is you can send a form home with all the projects listed and say, these are the projects your student has been asked to participate in. Do you consent to have them? Yeah, you can't do that. You'll have to have individual forms. But for the middle school.
For the
we-
high school, it's
Right.
individualized.
Right, that's where, we make it a little easier for the middle school because, probably 30% of middle school students want to do something where they're checking with about their friends, that's where their interest is. So, yeah, vertebrate animal. At one point, we even had to purchase them through a certified facility. So that's not here anymore, but you have to look at every possible way that you could have avoided using an animal in the study. And then you have to have a vet. In this case, you have to have a vet sign off on it if you would, But we do have access to a vet on our committee. Jen's husband is a vet. So, and then hazardous chemicals. Vinegar, okay, acetic acid, you probably need to submit a high. Same chemical, different strengths. But hydrofluoric acid, yeah. But what we're looking for is how are you protecting the student? Because we don't want, the news headline that says student blows up lab, working on science fair project. So we need that. And, we don't take any projects with guns anymore. Little boys want to do shooting distances and stuff like that. It's just that it comes under hazardous equipment and we've stopped accepting those projects. What? Potato guns? Perfect. That's cool. Every, probably about 3 years, we have a treasure show.
Yeah.
And it's usually an over-involved parent.
Just for what we parent. That's cool.
Go on.
One thing I'm gonna note is a lot of projects, I'm not a scientist, but a lot of projects I've read have to do with growing bacteria from their home. Ick. Sorry, but main thing is that what they forget to do is proper disposal, and they need to have that in their research plan, or we're gonna contact them. How was it disposed properly?
Throwing it into trash is not proper disposal. You can pour it with bleach. You can take it to a local dentist or doctor's office and have them modify it for you. In certain circumstances, if you need us to, we'll give you an autoclave bag and bring it to us. But we'd rather not do that, but we can do that. But it is very important that after they have swabbed their dog's mouth, that they don't open that dish back up except to destroy it.
And they cannot bring it to the fair, but they can take pictures of it and put it in petri dishes where it looks like it's there, but they cannot bring that to the fair.
Is bleaching and regular trash acceptable or not?
Bleaching is acceptable, 10 minutes of bleach. Yeah.
Okay, what form
So,
did you want to go to?
I was looking, that's what I was looking for,
Yeah.
but it's right here. Yeah. Make sure you give me those details because that just saves us doing so many emails back and forth with you. And also, anything that's sharp. Remember when they're coming to the fair, they can't have anything on their poster board that is living or was once alive. Now we take paper, obviously, it's a treated one, but we don't take candy. We don't take, a plant. We don't take dirt. We don't take any liquids at all. Because what we do, what we know, and these are ISIS rules, is that invariably someone has something like this there, it's going to get knocked out. And it's going to ruin the electrical project beside. So we don't have any of that. So you have to have this is the other one that's absolutely essential. You have the student's name, and they are signed off on by their parent, and this is in addition to any consents or acceptance.
This is, if they get it off the website, it is a fillable PDF. I strongly suggest having your student actually take it home to their parent and do a wet signature, and bring it back. It just saves everybody a headache. So if you just see them, you know, type in their parent's name, that's really not a signature.
So if you have to do a 1A and approval, you gotta do a 1B.
Every student,
Everybody does a 1B.
Everybody has a 1B.
every student, every project, I should say, has a 1A, a 1, and a 1B.
Now, this is where the local SRC IRB comes in. If you have that committee and you've submitted that committee name to us, and we looked at it and approved it, then this person will sign. The chair of your committee. If not, I will sign. Okay? Yeah.
I'm thinking now that if it's one of those where they are asking questions, that you have to have like a psychologist that on your committee.
Okay.
I'm thinking that.
No. Yeah, we'll look.
Yeah.
Nicholas, if you don't know, you look up ISEF requirements.
Yeah.
So, and then when those are turned in, then we sign all of these. To be honest with you, we don't sign them unless they're going on somewhere else because we don't have to anymore. But, so those are things, and go back up just a little bit, Heather.
Mhm.
If you have somebody who is right here, beep, 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 beep. If you have somebody who is working at the National Lab, working at UT, working at a hospital or something to do their research, they have to have a Form 1C, which is a regulated research institution. And they have to, they don't have to get our approval if they go through the institutionals, SRC IRB approval. So, but they have to have this 1C, and they also have to have a form called the qualified scientist. So we check everybody's qualifications that they were at the level that they could have done that research and kept the students safe. This is really, all of this is about keeping the students safe and keeping data private.
So that the SRC, from ISEF's webpage must consist of a biomedical scientist with an earned graduate degree, an educator, and at least one other additional member. That's as far as the SRC is.
Okay.
For the IRB board, you must have an educator, a school administrator, preferably a principal or vice principal, and a medical or mental health professional. If you have animals, it's highly recommended. And in some, for animals, if it's an SRC, you should also have a vet. That's from the ISEF webpage.
And does everybody know what ISEF is? Okay. Yeah, we're an affiliate. SASEF is an affiliate of ISEF. Okay.
All right. So this is the checklist. And this would be something that's very useful for you to go through with your students. You know, they look at the science fair ethics statement. You've looked at the checklist and the research plan and summary. And then what does this project entail? And then these are the absolute must-haves for every project. The checklist, the 2 checklists, project summary, the approval form, if you use it, the regulated in research setting, and if it is the project that was done last year or the year before, and this is a continuation plan.
Yeah, could you X out the
Oh.
hearing anything, because it's blocking the,
Sorry.
thank you.
You're welcome. It's a Form 1.
Perfect. Form 1, okay.
I'm sorry.
Zoom will make me crazy.
It does on a regular basis. Okay.
Yeah, and vertebrate animal tissue. Even if you go to the store and buy a hamburger, that's animal tissue. But it's very easy to justify that one, but you still have to have this form. So they say that, you know, you don't have to have some things for some of the microbial studies, but you still do have to fill out the risk assessment. Okay, well, it says manure is fine. It didn't used to
That's
be.
why I was like, oh, here's under the. exception.
Manure for composting.
Just for composting.
Yeah.
And he's doing.
He's doing what?
He's doing a biomass.
Okay. Yeah, it should be fine. It's just drying down there.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But, well,
Yes.
I don't think it needed to be said, but I said it.
Probably does, it's a middle school boy.
And it should go in the research plan, right?
It's a move. In the States?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so any questions about the 3 mandatory forms? Okay, I can also show you the website. This is the ISEF website. All of these wonderful forms are very clearly labeled on their website.
They are amazing. They will bend over backwards.
But they will not bend over backwards if you come to this fair with something that's wrong.
If you need help or you email them or message them.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough, I got to go to Washington this past summer and they were just phenomenal.
We had a project many years ago where they were looking at fish eggs and effects on fish eggs. Well, fish eggs don't fall into the category of vertebrate animals. But between the time they presented here and the time they went to nationals, they put in another experiment that they hadn't talked to me about, and they let them hatch. So they could not participate in the national fair because they didn't have the appropriate vertebrate animals. So it's getting that far and getting that close and then not getting to do it was just heartbreaking.
Okay, so back on this website, the UT website, in multiple spots, the rule wizard has a link, and that is where your student can go in and basically answer the questions about their project. And then at the end, it will tell them exactly what forms they need. And there, I believe, will be links to those forms. So the I don't know thing, don't take that from them. They can use the rules wizard. It's all right here. It asks them the appropriate questions. Do you have any other advice on?
Yeah, you're teaching kids who are digital natives. They should be able to check a box and go on. But they might have questions, you know.
Let's see.
Is manure in it, does it have microorganisms, you know? Probably the answer is yes, and look at it, and then you'll look and see, okay, well, maybe that is. I know, and then the other thing is human or animal tissue. Look at that really closely. That might be considered. Can we click on that one and see?
The vertebrate animals?
No,
or-
the human or animal tissue.
Sure.
If manure is. Something time. The good news is some middle school students.
Actually, was it popped up in that thing and I just zoomed past it?
Yeah, it was popping.
I'm sorry. I'll go back.
There.
Am I making you sick yet?
Yeah, you just highlight, just click the blue. Yeah. There you go.
Here's where, if it was neat.
Yeah, it's fluid section.
607.
Tell me if I'm going too fast.
Now, 7 is about blood only. Any tissues with the potential of blood containing bloodborne pathogens. So as long as the manure isn't blood, we're good.
Well, what's number 9? Any study involving inflection and examination is considered a bottling fluid.
It wouldn't have a BSL-3 or BSL-4. BSL-1 is what you're working with typically. My lab with all the plant pathogens is a BSL-1 lab. The lab next to me is a BSL-2 lab because it has some of the agents that are on the select agents. 3 and 4 are things that are going to cause human disease. So.
You probably won't have any equipment for 3 or 4 in high school.
We only have 2 or 3 threes on campus.
Yeah.
2 or 4 now.
There's Colin Johnson at UTHSC that runs the only 4.
Okay.
Because she did live COVID virus.
Okay. Yeah, manure used for composting, fuel production, or other non-culturing experiments, as long as it doesn't grow anything up.
Number 3, commercially available colored fluid. It's remained sealed and must be properly disposed. So those are exempt, they would not have to be approved.
They do not have to have they do not have to have prior approval.
Is that something that one of my students is looking at?
Okay,
They can't open it. Notice they do say you can't open the container that has the after you done the sanding.
okay. So here's what we get a lot of. Yeast, probiotics, things that are naturally in the environment, things that are in the water and soil, mold on food. If the experiment is terminated, the first evidence of mold, please do not let them open those dishes. I work with fungi and it's slime molds and edible mushrooms. So these are all considered BSL-1. E. coli, if it's got the pathogenesis genes taken out, we can get from Carolina.
Yes. Thank you.
Tell me if you need me to stop.
So then it is saying here that fresh or frozen meat, they've now put that in there, that used to be. Teeth. Every now and then we get teeth. The teeth have to be sterilized before they can do anything with them as far as measuring or other that, unless they get the data from the person who is qualified to do it. They just work with the data. One of the things that I will tell you, particularly for high school students and the more advanced middle school students, there is a ton of publicly available data. So you can do a really nice project going into the internet and going to like the CDC database, to the agricultural databases and all of that, and pulling up information and asking questions. We have people who that's what they do for their job. They go in and they look at data that others have collected and see what kind of patterns we can predict.
So the data analysis of.
Right.
It is 9:50 and I know we were running over. Are any of you heading out to a science Olympiad? You're all staying? Okay. So I feel this one is running over because there's a lot of information. The rubric and categories is a great workshop as well, but I don't think it'll take as long. So if you want to continue with this, we can totally continue and then shift into the rubric one afterwards.
Who's the rubric? Nicholas?
Yeah, he may have he stepped out for a second.
Yeah.
So, this is also a very good area, but to take a peek at, there's so much information on their website.
It's important to be clear though, that even if they don't need pre-approval, they still have to do a Form 1 and a Form 1A.
Yes.
Mhm.
And they should have done that before they start. Yeah.
And let me point out that Jennifer and Jan have both taught high school and run SING projects through SASEF. Jennifer's actually was one of our winners at SASEF. So, yeah, but I was already old when you were doing that, so that's.
Never.
So, but anyway, so we have a number of good resources, actual teachers with hands-on experience, because the only middle school experience I have is with my son and his friends, and science fair wasn't. I made him do it one time, and then he said no more.
I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
I'm just a little science fair club, but again, we have our school science fair too, so the winners are the ones that go. Should I have them go ahead and fill out those forms before they start their projects? So they're looking to start their projects next week, or should I just wait that with the winners of the science fair?
Have them fill out the forms,
Okay.
because they're, if you don't pay the fee and hit the button, we see that they're there, but we
Okay.
just. And you can just send us a list of names of people who didn't do it, because that gets them thinking about this. If they fill out these forms, they've got to think about, what am I doing that won't get me in trouble with your mistake?
So they can go ahead and fill everything out except just don't pay, and I can email you, here's our list of winners.
So you will go ahead, pre-approve, do whatever needs to be done on your side before we know if they're actually gonna make it.
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
don't have to worry about
pre-approval means
paying
that-
upfront before the pre-approval.
Pre-approval means that you don't start your experiment until you get it back from me.
Right, but we don't have to pay the registration before we can get a
No.
pre-approval.
No.
That's amazing, thank you.
A couple, go ahead.
One thing that I think is important as we have gone through some of these things and you're looking at what they can and can't do. I've seen so many students bring their stuff with them to the science fair that's not allowed there. So, but we don't encourage them early enough to start taking pictures and keeping a log. And so that now everybody's got a cell phone and they can take pictures and document all along, and then they will have that to use in their poster or in their project book. But a lot of times we just don't think about that early enough.
Yeah, and people who look through my phone cannot understand what on earth the pictures of my phone are, but I do that constantly. I take a picture of cultures, I take a picture of plants, and, everything else that's, because sometimes my notes aren't as good as my memory is not as good as it used to be. But, if we, documenting is incredibly important. But yeah, I probably have 75% of my phone storage is scientific experiments.
So one thing I want to know is the step-by-step guide with screenshots. That is about the registration site. So if you have middle schoolers at home doing this with their parents, it's very organized to where they would be able to figure it out if they are not in your classroom doing it with you. And then all else fails, prep@utk.edu, and we're happy to respond. So, like I said, this is very step-by-step on how the actual registration system goes. When it comes to pre-approval questions, go ahead and email. We will involve Dr. Gwen if we need to and get those questions answered for you. Anything else you want to address before we jump back to the registration system? We're running a little bit behind for the rubric
I
thing.
think does anybody have any questions? I mean, we've thrown a lot of stuff at.
Can I just double check, like, before I leave today, just some of the ones to make sure I've got my kids squared away? Cool.
No, no problem.
So the project ID number will not pop up until later in the registration process. If it's getting close to fair time and there is not a number populated, somebody from the prep staff will get a hold of you. Like, this isn't fully registered yet. Like, is the student coming? If you have a student that signed up and like, oh my gosh, they're headed off to the state soccer tournament or something and they're not going to be able to be there, let us know. And that just makes on our side a little bit easier to take them out so judges aren't looking for them on the day of the fair.
And this is what, to answer your question, this is what we'll see, that Axel has not paid yet.
Mm-hmm.
And,
But they have to be present the day of, correct?
unless they've signed up to do it virtually.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
but it, I mean, the virtual doesn't mean that they're gonna get a 15-minute window. They're gonna have to be there for that couple hours. You know, we've had students say, oh yeah, I'm going on vacation, so I want to do the virtual, and then you find out, you know, because we don't have just one set of judges that will talk to. We used to not, but it is so important to have that face-to-face with our judges. We work very hard, and Nicholas has been doing it, and Mark is doing it now, to make sure that our judges are child forward, child friendly, and that they are, all of our judges, by the way, have received child protection training. We do not let judges judge individually. We make them judge in pairs, so that there is always a protection for your students. You are not allowed on the thing, you will be on the sidelines.
That also protects the judges.
Mm-hmm.
We try really hard to get groups of 3 for judges, but sometimes we put pair. We try, the only time there is a single judge running around is when there's no students on the floor, and those would typically be single special awards judges that are taking note of things. And if they go do an interview, we'll partner them with their category.
Or they'll come and get one of the staff.
Or they'll get a snap.
On the entry,
Yes.
I notice it states, add another student to this project.
Yes, I was going to come to that.
Okay.
So middle school projects can, if refresh my memory, team up to 3. However, as Nicholas just spoke about it, there are some special awards, and some of those awards will only allow a team of 2. So it does take them out of the running of some awards. But if, you know, more the merrier, teams of 3 are fine.
I want to say that I heard that if they do make it to ISEF, the nationals, are they still allowed to be in a group of 2, or do they have to be solo?
They can be in a group of 2, but no more.
No more than 2.
Mhm.
And that is our rule, because we have to pay for the students to go. So we pay all their expenses, and 2 teams of 3 bankrupts us.
Yeah.
Jennifer is our treasurer. She's going, no.
Bankrupt is a good word for that.
I think it's listed somewhere on the website too, that high school is a team of 2,
Yeah.
even for SASEF. So it just, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you're welcome. Abstract is a requirement, and I'm sad that it's just this little tiny box tucked down here, but for them to fill out their abstract, they just hit edit. Encourage them to put it in Microsoft Word, Google Docs, type it up, spell check, make it pretty, and then copy and paste it in here. So they have record of what their abstract was as well, because they'll need it in their project book anyways.
That's like for the middle school students, what I was saying, that that's your project summary, you can just cut and paste it for the else.
So that is a requirement. So yes, if it's a team project, there is, and they're not considered lead student or non-lead student. It's just one creates an account. They need to talk about that, because we've also had students each create accounts, and we don't have a way to link them. We'll have to merge it on the backside. Any questions about registration? This part, okay. Yes.
So you have, so just like add another student project after, okay.
And then it kind of starts that they'll have their own login and their own parent information. Yep.
But the project number will be the same.
Yes. Okay. So that's pre-approval. I thought on here it asks if they need pre-approval. The answer is, if they're in question, have them answer yes, it'll trigger us on the backside to take a look at that project. Let me see if it'll let me skip to the next part.
When in doubt.
Okay.
Ask for pre-approval.
Yeah.
We can tell you if you need it.
Yeah,
And-
we can usually tweak an experiment so you don't have a problem.
So I clicked yes, or clicked on that box, and this is where they will answer that. Again, right there, 2 links to the rules wizard. It's everywhere. So yes. And then this is where they upload their forms. And I did some dummy forms, so I'll just quickly throw some stuff in there. It is much easier if it is done per box, but if they just scanned all of their forms at one time, they can go up and click the all files and just put that one file in. It's not as convenient, but it is doable. Okay, it's very simple. Just let me find the right page. Okay, form 1. That's his form 1. We're going to upload that. Done. Continue. And then it highlights that box as being completed. So it's very clear what their steps are that they need to take. Okay. It does separate it out for research plan, but if they have it together with their 1A form, it's totally fine. They don't have to separate 2 different files out. We'll see that. And that's submitted for pre-approval. That'll notify us on our side. And then the student can move along in the process. Any questions? Okay.
No.
Okay. You're welcome.
Take a break for a second while I get into think.
Fire break time.
Okay, I am not the most Zoom savvy person.